So what do you think of Germans?
Germans, the perpetrators of the greatest, most terrible event ever to occur on Earth.
What was that event?
I think it was like at 800. They crowned Charlemagne like king.
Yeah, that was a bad move.
King of all. No, the Holocaust. The Holocaust.
Did you just play our theme song?
Yeah, the theme song music came on right when I said Holocaust. That won't happen for the listeners at home. Where was I? The Holocaust. That's what I think of when you say the word German. That's what it means to me. What about for you?
Yeah. For me, the Holocaust is closely associated with Germans, which is why I bring it up, whenever I meet a German guy.
But you're one of those guys who you're kind of like, was that really the number? Aren't you one? Aren't you one of those guys
Yeah.
who's like, I think the number was smaller.
I'm not a racist. It's not because I'm a racist. It's because I'm a math guy,
Right.
And I'm an inquisitive math guy, so I got to know the math on things.
Well, the Germans
6 million. Have you ever counted to 6 million?
Yeah.
It's a lot. No, you've counted to 6 million in your life?
If anyone could count to 6 million, it's the Germans.
That's true. They're very organized.
They would be like, they would set up like a whole platoon of army people in very good black leather fashion outfits with skulls on there. Why'd they?
And you know how they achieved the skulls?
Yeah, why'd they put those skulls on there?
Because they look cool. Because they're awesome.
Yeah.
That's the classic Mitchell and Webb, aren't we the baddies sketch? Why would you put? But American law enforcement puts the Punisher logo. They put a skull in their stuff. Skulls are cool because skulls are violence.
True. And the Punisher is like not a pro cop figure either. So it's very it is like a contradiction as much as the Nazis. I'm just wondering if the Nazis were aware of the contradictions as much as we are today.
I think they saw the skull more as an embodiment of their power and control. A skull represents you have the ability, you have control over life and death, and that is what is represented.
Maybe we could do a reading series of Hannah Arendt on the podcast today and really dry it up for the listeners. Really have a very dry episode.
People love Hannah Arendt, unless she's been discredited. I'm hearing about all these academics I heard about in college are now discoded. You can. You like Hegel? That guy.
What about that guy? Was his name Giorgio Cicciolillo Mahler? Giorgio Cicciolillo Mahler? What's that guy's name?
What? Who are you talking about? Someone who's been largely discredited?
Giorgio Cicciarelli. Cicciarello.
Giorgio
Cicciarone. Giorgio Ciccarella.
Giorgio Ciccarella. You found that out that he raped a bunch of ladies.
Okay, so Giorgio Ciccarelli is an actor known for, he's an Italian actor. He looks like he's in, what are those Italian horror movies called?
Giallos.
The what?
Giallos.
Come again?
Giallos. It's for yellow.
I feel like
they're yellow movies.
I feel like you're speaking a different language or something.
Yeah. Giallo in Japanese means giallo.
So it's Italian for yellow.
Italian for yellow. That's true. True. Just like our purple movies. You've seen a purple movie, right?
What do you mean? Like one of those really boring movies where there's like implied eroticism and you rent when you're 13 and you're like, I hope there's nudity, and then there is no nudity.
I always had a steady stream of nudity. Like my parents didn't care. I would always stay on City TV, Channel 7 in Toronto. There was always softcore porn pretty early, like at 11:30 p.m. Earlier than you would expect the softcore porn to start showing.
And you just watched that, and your parents would walk in, hand you a plate of chicken tenders, and be like, pat you on the head, and be like, "How's it going, son?
There you go, son.
Are you winning?
I missed that.
Are you winning, son?
Yeah, they would. I wouldn't be, but I wouldn't be jacking off because I didn't know how to do that yet. Yeah, you ever do that? Like when you're a kid, you come upon porn and you're just looking at it like it's a treasure map. It like doesn't even register as sexual to you because it's just this fascinating thing. It's beyond your knowledge.
Yeah, it made me feel like the world was simultaneously opening up to me and closing in on me. It was it's like
Your first discovery of porn
it's like,
as a kid.
what the fuck? This magic box has made me feel insane.
And you keep reproducing that feeling every day.
Well, now now I know to just never let my kid use the computer. Ever. Never, ever, until you're 18.
That's going to be strict.
But back then, back in the 90s, they didn't know there was, like, my parents were idiots. They were like, surely the government would not allow pornography on the internet.
That gap of knowledge, all great discoveries exist in a gap of regulation where the authorities have not caught up to the rapidness of the system spreading. So, but you young person were able to get jacked in at an early age, and for it to irreparably change your brain.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, do you feel like porn damaged your brain?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's hard to know because this is the only brain I'm gonna have. This is the only brain I know. Like, if you had a clone of me that never looked at porn, would he be this amazing person?
Yeah, he'd probably be like a CEO by now.
I'd definitely be. If I
You're
had
like
never
the
looked at
CEO
porn.
archetype, but damaged by porn brain. Everyone thinks that. Everyone's always saying that.
If I had never looked at porn, I would be Scottie Pippen right now.
I feel
If
like
I had never looked at porn, I would be just not jacking off, and with all that excess energy, I would have been able to learn French.
yeah, if I hadn't looked at porn, I think I would probably be like a Michelin chef and NFL quarterback.
Yes,
Imagine Tom Brady,
Yeah,
but he can cook.
yeah. Well, that's Tom Brady famously couldn't eat anything because he was on a super strict diet. So it'd be funny if Tom Brady was also. So did you ever see that show Chef's Table? Okay, so there's this show on Netflix, Chef's Table, which is great. It's just food porn, but it feels classy. They have Vivaldi's Winter is the theme song, and it starts, you know how that goes. It starts building ding 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 and they're showing like sped up 4K feasts being prepared, and it's an amazing show. In one season they have a Buddhist nun. And this Buddhist nun, she's vegan, first of all, but also there's some vegetables that are too angry for her. So, like onion and garlic are also out, which is like vegan cooking without onion and garlic. Oh my god! But apparently she does this amazing stuff, and it's mostly pickling. That's the basic secret. Is like a lot of pickling, a lot of brine-based recipes, which I agree with. I like that sort of thing.
Brine-based recipes.
If you're not putting it in a salty water, you're nothing.
I like to do a dry brine.
What's a dry brine?
It's just rubbing salt on it. Just rubbing salt all over that tenderloin, slapping it on the plate. Let it rest for 30 minutes. And you excuse me. Not only do you let it rest, but you play it Winter by Antonio Wiwaldi.
Yeah, by Wiwaldi, you have to put the speaker right up to the meat in order for it to get infused with the Wiwaldi goodness.
You think Russians pronounce it Wiwaldi? They definitely do.
Yeah.
Because Russians don't do V's when it's
They can do V's.
They do have V's, but they pronounce them as W's.
They pronounce them as W's. So the Veni Vidi Vici would be Weni Weedy Vici.
Weni Weedy.
Well, that's it's
how,
my old brother, Weni Weedy.
Yeah, that's how the Romans pronounced V's.
That's how they pronounced it, as those fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Those fucking Russians. So Romans were Russians, is what you say.
The Romans were massively influential all over the world, my friend.
Really? Even in France?
even as far away from Italy as France, the farthest one can go.
The farthest one can possibly be from Italy.
Dude, living during that time where that's a true statement, like, for some people, they're like, I went to the farthest ends of the earth. I traveled across the Pyrenees to a land known as southern France. It's like, damn.
I mean, it must have been mystical. I mean, it's funny when, like, racism against other white people. We should go back to that. White people should start internecine warfares. Thin out our ranks a little.
Well, hey, Russia is trying to start a war between white people right now.
That's good. We need another war between white people. The best kind of war.
It is funny.
No one ever gets caught up in the crossfire.
It's like, okay, what are the distinguishing what are the cultural things that distinguish between Ukrainian and Russian? Mm-hmm. What can you name anything? Could you tell a Ukrainian apart from a Russian?
Yeah, because Ukrainians won't shut up about it.
I mean, Ukrainians are probably like several inches shorter because of the relative like nourishment they're able to receive.
They're all tiny, and there's something in the Ukrainian spirit which is much more Mediterranean. They have a much more rash and boastful sort of attitude, whereas Russians tend to be infused with this negativity and dark humor, and I find that Ukrainians lack. If I were to go off of any arbitrary marker, that's what I was. It's this country of chest beaters versus a country of, like, cigarette smoking angry men.
All these people are basically descendants of Vikings that broke off from Scandinavia and settled in Russia.
So you're going with the Nordic proliferation.
Yeah,
theory.
and then there was like kind of like what the Anglo-Saxons did. The Anglo-Saxons were Scandinavians that broke off and moved to England, and then did a little genocide / cultural cleansing of the Celts that lived there.
Yeah, it's white people on white people violence,
and
white on white violence.
I'm assuming that there were people that lived in the areas that these Scandinavians that became Russians went to, like I can't remember some of the names of the indigenous tribes that lived, but like Siberian indigenous tribes of that nature lived all over, and they were, of course, pushed back. I think the Sami is the
Sami. They're the Renee Zellweger people. It's just a whole bunch of people that look like Renee Zellweger.
Well, but you mean, but she looks like it because of a bad plastic surgery?
No, she's actually Sami, I think.
Oh.
Renee Zellweger is actually a Sami person.
Oh, okay.
She looked like that before the plastic surgery.
She's had some pretty bad plastic surgery.
Well, you get pressured in Hollywood, and you roll the dice, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, man, the picture they have for her at her Wikipedia is not flattering. Wow.
Oh, no. No. We're talking smack against Renee.
Everyone is mean to her.
Because she's Bridget Jones. She was Lena Dunham before Lena Dunham. She's just this dump truck, fat girl.
She's not fat.
No, she's not, but she's Hollywood fat. She was Hollywood fat. Or at least she got Hollywood fat for the Bridget Joneses, which everybody loved because, you identify as a schmuck. I'm a wine-drinking, man-crazy, undisciplined lady. I relate to that. I'm sure if I watched the Bridget Jones's Diaries, I'd find a lot more in common with her than, say, a Carrie Bradshaw, who's gallivanting around with the gentry of town, being a fashionista, being, working out constantly. I can't work out. I can't have these Sarah Jessica Parker muscles.
How did you know that Renee Zellweger had Sami ancestry?
Because she looks it. She looks a Sami.
That's
I don't know.
Racist,
just one of those weird facts you internalize.
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. She's blonde with Asiatic features.
Yeah.
She's usually a Sami person.
Yeah. That's
if
interesting.
we're getting racist on the pod again.
No, but not enough people know about the Sami. That's an interesting tribe. I don't know if they're a tribe. They're a full group of people.
They're an
more than a
ethnic
tribe.
group.
They're still there. They're one of the last to be Christianized. Because the Christianization efforts of Scandinavia started in 1400 and then lasted for 400 years. And there was there were some battles. There were some battles in England over the Christian, because the Vikings controlled parts of England, and then the English were like, well, we gotta Christianize these people. They're all pagan. And then they were the Vikings were like, I don't want it. I want to worship.
Did it take with when did Sweden get Christianized? Because it's pretty Christian, right?
Yeah, it got Christian, and I think it started in the I think it started in the 1200s, maybe. 12 maybe, but the last, I think it was the Sami tribe. The last place to be Christianized was as late as the 1800s. So they're interesting because many of the polytheistic religions died out, but they kept theirs alive, and it's like a branch of some of the same religions that our ancestors, my ancestors, practiced long ago. So it's interesting because it's a fairly recent polytheistic religion in the North Country.
The North Country. You like the Scandinavia. You're attracted
Well,
to
I was always
elements of it.
Swedish. My Swedish ancestry was always heavily promoted on my mother's side of the family as being, because my grandmother was, I don't think she was born in Sweden, but my great grandmother was born in Sweden. So, and then they had a farm, and then they came over here, and they moved to Nebraska.
That's where Swedes move.
A lot of them moved to Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Yeah, just the great dead heart of America.
Yeah, they were like, where can we find a place that's even more depressing than Sweden?
Yeah, where is barren and awful?
It's like,
oh, this is great.
Oh, they have a lake with smelly fish, and the fish already smell. We don't have to make ferment for days to make smelly fish.
We don't even need to import this fish. No way. We're importing smelly fish from the coasts. We don't have to do that here in America. It's a great time.
They have already really big lake with very cold, and you jump in after sauna.
Yeah, you go to your sauna, and then, you smoke a couple American-style cigarettes. We called them faggots in Sweden, but they call them cigarettes here, and they call their homosexuals faggots.
It's like a switcheroo.
It's a switcheroo. Sometimes I get a cigarette confused for a homosexual. That often happens to me frequently in America with this change in terminology. And how they do. These are the Swedish guys. Classic House of Decline character, the Swedish guys.
The philosopher I was trying to think of earlier in the show is George Sicariello Maher, also known as Geo Maher, an American political scientist who supported the 1804 Haiti massacre in a tweet and mocked the white genocide conspiracy theory, was asked to basically placed on administrative leave. So he was one of the first cancel culture guys, because basically this guy is like a hardcore Marxist. He's cool. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. We like him.
He would go too far on Twitter by, expressing support for populist massacres. I must say, Haiti, some kind of massacre in Haiti.
We like the Haiti massacre was a good one. The Haitians massacred the French.
Right.
Okay, so we like that.
We
That's
like
a good
that one. So
why it's not a massacre then? We shouldn't call it a massacre. It should be called a revolution. Or it should be called
there was a massacre in the revolution.
Sure.
But anyway, he's funny because he had lots of social media controversies.
Is he banned from Twitter? Did he get banned from Twitter?
Maybe. After the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, he posted a tweet that said that the mass shooting was the product of a system that favors white males.
Yeah, sure. What? That's not a controversial statement to me.
Well, it is on the left now. I mean, I guess it's such a generic statement.
Yeah, that's not really like a hard. You're not like saying like the people deserved it or something.
So the reason
Yeah,
the system that favors white males is the same system that sells guns to Saudi Arabians using white males, who then sometimes go insane or the deal goes bad and then they shoot everyone. So sort of.
Is that the Stephen Paddock? What's the conspiracy theory with Stephen Paddock?
That he's a CIA guy selling all these weapons to the Saudis, and the deal goes bad.
Oh no, the Saudis, they're in their saunas.
Yeah, the Saudis are in their saunas, and we have to get back to the sauna.
Let's get back to the sauna and finish Schwarzenegger, and get back to the sauna. This is a very funny joke.
Mm.
Instead of get to the chopper, he said get to the penis. What if instead of get to the chopper, he said get to the vagina?
Get to the vagina. By
Get to the vagina.
Antonio Wiwaldi.
Antonio Vivaldi. Have you ever listened to Winter? When I was the governor of California, we would play Winter while we ate our large tomahawk steaks that they would serve us every night.
You know who they should have got in Amadeus instead of the guy that played Mozart?
Instead of Tom Hulse, who should have they have gotten?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Should have gotten Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. No, he was touched.
Can you imagine that movie with buff Mozart?
I think a buff Mozart would be, that's what people want, you know.
Like, really?
People want a buff Mozart.
Really
they want a buff Toven.
Like bodybuilder
They want
Mozart?
Johann Sebastian Buff. They want all these really fucking big, muscly classical composers to just like.
It's so easy to write,
flex and play the piano.
It's so easy to write good new movie ideas, and the studios are just farming it out to reboots. And here we are and we're like, Johann Sebastian Buff.
Johann Sebastian Buff. It's gonna be the next big deal.
Okay, wait.
He's gonna wear this Baroque uniform except without any arms. Yeah. The arms are torn off.
Yeah, so Johann Sebastian Buff's got a well-tempered clavicle.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Well, that's not a muscle. That's a bone. That's a neck bone.
Oh, what's a bone that sounds like clavier?
I don't know.
Or a muscle,
well-tempered clavier. The well-tempered, I don't know. I don't know muscle groups.
Yeah, I neither of us do. It's very obvious. We should do.
I know that.
Let's do the cover of the art for this episode should just be pictures of your and my torsos.
Okay, let's send each other pictures of our torsos.
Come visit and let's
now.
press our torsos together and take a picture, and then that's our art that we use.
That'd be good. Everybody likes torso pressing. It's the way of the world. I don't know. When is the last time I belly bumped with somebody? I would like to belly bump with a pregnant lady. I feel like I would, get some. I feel like I would get some, residual goodwill from
pregnancy. Is highly disturbing.
Energy. It's the body horror.
Yeah.
It's body horror. Your body goes crazy, and then you expel a person.
The weirdest part for me is like that thing has hair on it.
What do you mean that thing has hair on it?
The thing inside you has hair on it.
The thing inside you has hair on it.
Yeah,
there's lots of hairs inside you.
I would just say that, like, the thing inside you has hair on it.
The thing. So that's what you say to your pregnant wife.
My pregnant partner, yeah.
Your
my
pregnant
PP.
partner. Your PP. There's hair inside you right now. Have you thought about the hair growing on the inside of you?
Yeah, that's always a weird thing when you feel like hair's growing inside your mouth.
Yeah, you ever have hairs growing inside your mouth?
Mm-hmm. It's a thing.
You ever have little sensitive hairs?
Yeah. It's like the wolf people have that.
Yeah, the wolf people. They're all over the world,
Oh, here we go. Here's the topic we can... Did you happen to read Rod Dreher's piece in the American Conservative?
The puppy play Biden.
Yeah.
That's nuts to me because 8 months earlier I had done a comic about Joe Biden's dog, Major Biden, being replaced with staffers within the DC pup community.
I know that was the perfect tweet by Will Menaker was I call him Will Manager now.
Will Manager,
because he's managerial class manager.
He's the will managerial. Oh, he's fine.
Anyway,
We should start a huge beef with the Chapo guy.
Dude, the only way we can get any kind of traction is to start a beef. So that's what so much of the Twitter stuff is everyone basically would agree with each other, but you got guys like you and me being like, 30 listeners a week. What can we do? Who can we piss off?
Who are we trying? Yeah, we should be attention whores. We should just start fluorescing all over the place.
My whole deal is I'll occasionally pop in over on the Chapo Twitter and be like, "You guys are too rich. Give me some money." And then
and then I go, "You're not gonna make any friends in the online left that way."
No, I know.
They're gonna crucify you. They're gonna blow your face up on Twitter. You're gonna post something, and then if you've been foolish enough to post your face online, they will blow it up and they'll say, "You look like this. You're dumb."
But I was gonna say that would have been the perfect tweet for House of Decline to reply with a comic, but we don't do that anymore.
I don't do that anymore. I've reply guy no more.
No more.
I tore off my reply guy badge.
Well,
the Nazis gave me a reply guy badge. The Nazis were rounding up all the reply guys.
The Nazis would have been on your side, man. You just made a couple comics with my suggestions.
Yeah, we're making... There are so many fucking Nazi cartoonists. I mean, they're not Nazi cartoonists, but there's a lot of right-wing cartoonists. There's that one guy. There's G Prime, or George Alexiou. He makes those detailed comics of big-eyed children being traumatized by critical race theory.
Right, yeah.
They're great. They're brilliant in the same way that Ben Garrison is brilliant, because it belies like a mind that is utterly poisoned. Mm-hmm. But a poisoned mind that is so able to elegantly articulate its emotional fervor through the use of these detailed and well-textured drawings.
Yeah. Well, he's got a tablet. You got to get you a tablet so you can be pumping them suckers out.
I don't want to. That style, I like that style, but I'm still gonna do my primitive method. I'm never backing down.
I'm gonna get you a Christmas present.
Okay.
And then you're just gonna then you're gonna start making dog shit comics.
Yeah, my comics just become really right wing for no particular reason. I start making
right wing comics. You're just like, oh man, the border crisis, the truck.
The border. There's so much crime in the inner cities,
dude. My God, there is a border crisis, and it's with Canada, and it's an hour away from my house, and everyone's getting arrested.
Are people honking at the border? Are there honking convoy people at the border?
I can't hear them from my house because it's far away. But
because that's what the whole convoy thing's supposed to be about, right? Is vaccine mandates between U.S. and Canada.
Yeah, so they're arresting all those guys right now, I guess.
Funny. I guess. I don't really care. Everything in Canadian news has been convoy. You have to look at the fucking convoy for 2 weeks. It's inescapable.
It's over now. It'll be over soon.
It's very funny because these guys are being mildly rude, and it's very upsetting. Oh no!
I mean, I was reading news stories that were like, Ottawa has been captured.
People are very hysterical
Ottawa down.
About it.
You know?
It's become another January 6th for pearl-clutching liberals to obsess over. Which is fine. Everybody needs an enemy. Everybody needs to feel like they're fighting against somebody. It's fine. I know, if you don't have an opponent, who are you supposed to punch, you know? You have these fists for punching. Are they supposed to not punch anybody?
So you're saying it's like if you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail type of guy, type of thing.
Yeah, but I'm saying everybody's a hammer. Oh. You know, everybody likes hammering. Name me a single person who doesn't like to hammer.
Okay, I got a couple. Bob Ross.
Bob Ross, I'm sure, loved hammering. You know, he didn't like violence, you know.
He's not
I'm sure he loved hammering, though.
He's not a hammer in the sense that you're speaking.
He was a drill sergeant. You don't know if Bob Ross had a secret life where
Bob Ross
he was
was a
like
drill
that
sergeant?
Bob Odenkirk movie. Yeah,
How
you
do
didn't
you
know
know
that.
all these things? Bob Ross was a drill sergeant.
This is like because I was on Reddit for 40 years. I was on Reddit just gathering a bunch of pointless facts.
Like, oh, Renee
about celebrities.
Zellweger. I know her great grandmother and her wet oil painting technique. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, wet oil painting.
yeah. Well, why don't you get into some wet oil?
I should get into some wet oil, but wet on wet technique. It was the famous wet on wet technique, where you wouldn't have to wait for that sucker to dry. You would incorporate other paints into the wet paint. It's revolutionary because you could just crank out these quick landscapes that were very pleasing to look at. It's funny. Bob Ross art has gone through like this fluctuation of appraisal in terms of its artistic quality. Because I remember there was like a time when it was thought of as low art, something rivaling something as chintzy as Thomas Kinkade.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know about Thomas Kinkade as well?
I've heard of him. I mean, it's reminding me of there's some. Oh gosh, there was some movement in the 1800s in England that I can't remember the name of that I was learning about, but it was like basically trying to with mass production capabilities, like maybe it was in the 1900s, trying to bring art to the masses.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called though. This movement to try to enculturate the masses with some nicer art because it's cheaper and easier to do now.
Mm-hmm.
There was some movement to do that. He
know.
kind of reminds me of that. That's kind of what he was doing, He's bringing but the bar for Bob Ross was to do. I was always when I was watching him thinking like the bar to do this is pretty freaking high. I'm gonna have to buy an easel, a huge.
Yeah. There's
to put all the paint
painting
on.
is expensive, yeah.
And I'm probably gonna fuck up a bunch and get paint everywhere.
That's why you'd go to a studio, you'd go somewhere, or you just. I mean, lots of people just don't paint when they're watching Bob Ross. They just watch a nice procedural thing with a guy with a gentle voice. That's all you need it for. People still capitalizing on that format, like Joe Pera. Everybody likes Joe Pera because he's a nice, gentle voice. Describes things procedurally.
Well, this is interesting. In Wikipedia, it says for the wet on wet, the technique used a limited selection of tools and colors that didn't require a large investment in expensive equipment.
There you go. That's the revolution. That's the artistic revolution. Bob Ross.
I guess
a socialist hero.
When I started using the iPad Procreate program, that was when the revolution became clear to me because a lot of people have iPads, and now you can just do nice digital painting on them. I think we're going to see a lot more digital art these days.
That's what I sort of lament about the idea of NFTs, inevitably being absorbed by this cold VC machine that capitalizes on it in order to take advantage of a lack of regulation in crypto. What's like, because the idea of creating a unique digital work, people are saying that, it's digital scarcity. There's something inherently bad about that. There's something morally opprobrious to the very idea of having a unique digital file, where once there had been a world of infinite reproduction, now there is something that is inherently wrong with the idea that you have created something unique. But I don't know, I think there probably is some dimension, there is some use value for a unique file identifier that we're just not thinking of yet, because the only use we found for it is the crassest, most economical thing. But I don't know. I lament technological dead ends, I guess, because it's always just like a crime of potential to feel like you're amounting to something, and then it's like NFT drops themselves, the rug is pulled out from under you, and you're left wondering, where this all leads to.
I mean, I don't think they're the worst thing in the world currently.
No.
So
I mean, they're not, but people like
It's
People dislike them because it's just such an obvious. People dislike them on a moral level because it's like they associate it with a total lack of value because it is intangible. It's totally intangible.
the thing about them that the idea is cool, and eventually, if we do enough stuff with tech to make our computation more sustainable and less resource intensive, you could, instead of owning a receipt, you could ostensibly own the actual file.
Yeah.
You could put if it didn't cost so much, we could put the whole picture up on the blockchain and you could own that. And then you wouldn't have people saying, oh, you just own a receipt to the link, which is unstable because of something. There's something known as link rot that occurs on the internet because the internet is decentralized, right? So there's no standard to keep links from just disappearing after a while or breaking or,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's cool that digital artists have a way to sell their art, but they kind of did before. Watermarks have, frankly, cryptographic watermarks have always existed.
I mean, this is just a hugely profitable way to sell a very specific type of work.
Right.
And the work lends itself to being unchallenging.
The complaint about cryptographic watermarks would probably be like, well, that's one company's making the cryptographic watermarks, and what if they go out of business? And then no one can verify your cryptographic watermark anymore. Mm-hmm. And then you can come back at them with like, well, the Amazon that's basically hosting the pictures that your NFTs are linked to, they could eventually go out of business, and then you would no longer you would own a receipt to an empty link. So I don't know.
I want there to be a use for everything. I want everything to fit neatly in the world. And because I don't know, there is some aspect of technology hype culture which does get me genuinely excited. But then it all leads to horror. Like, remember when, like, 10 years ago, when you first started seeing Boston Dynamics videos on YouTube, and it was like, wow, that shit it's a little creepy, but it's super cool. And then it cut to 12 years later, and we're already implementing the robot dogs as security measures, and it's just gone in the most obvious, horrible
is the robot
capitalism poison
is the
route.
Robot dog necessarily worse than the border guard?
Yeah, I think it is because it's also the question with self-driving cars as well, because there's a legal problem to it. Like, if the robot dog kills somebody, who is responsible for it? You know, is it the police department? Is it the manufacturer of the robot dog? You know, that's where that was the problem with self-driving cars. Why self-driving cars are never going to happen, because there's a legal problem. If the self-driving car kills somebody, who is responsible? Is it the driver? Is it the maker of the car?
That's like a political, that can sort of be a political problem in that the AI or the robots that we will invent sort of need a system that enables them. So I'm thinking okay, if we try to make this simple, like the robots in Star Wars that work for the Empire, is it worse to be genocided by a robot that works for the Empire or by one of their weird British dudes? You know,
they're child soldiers.
They're weird. No, they're like the Empire in Star Wars.
Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, like one of their Richard E. Grant in a weird outfit, being shooting you in the face. Is it worse to be genocided by the cold robot or the the weird.
I mean, I guess the question, you're obviously leading to me to say that I'd rather be killed by the robots because at least there's
no. Because I can imagine
you're right. You prefer the warmth of being genocided by just angry racist humans.
I can imagine you in line at the gas chamber being like, at least there's a guy doing it.
At least it's a human.
Hey, these could be.
If this was a robot,
if these were robots, we would.
There's no human touch. It's just totally cold. Back in the days, movies used to star humans. Now they all star robots.
You could say a joke to the concentration camp guard and see if he laughs, and then breaks his character. With guess with a robot dog, there's no possibility of appealing to his humanity because he has none. Yeah, I guess it's bad.
I think I don't think the robot dogs are a good development for security. I don't think that type of thing should be automated. I think there are things that sort of resist automation for one thing or another.
Well, it's just a camera with legs, right?
Yeah, it's a camera with legs, but also software that determines when somebody is going to do something bad. That was I had a friend from school who I love, but was doing something that I found to be, a little questionable. But that venture is over now. What he was doing was it was technology he was developing for self-driving cars, where he theorized that in self-driving cars, there are probably going to be crimes committed in self-driving cars. If there's a taxi of the future, somebody might want to do a drug deal in a taxi, in a motorized, in a Johnny cab. Someone might want to, do a rape in a Johnny cab. So we're going to have cameras in the Johnny cabs, but the cameras will also have software to be the shapes of this human body are conforming to the rape pattern. And it will, call the cops on whatever's happening there. So he was trying to develop this technology. But, within that idea is very chilling because now you have this algorithm which determines whether what you're doing and whether what you are doing is bad.
Yeah, that seems like that's a bit of a stretch to try to determine a crime based on, I guess, it's like a 3D scan of the environment. That's the new thing. So Wi-Fi 6 is coming out soon, and what Wi-Fi 6 is going to be, we're currently on Wi-Fi 5, if you're not
Wi-Fi
keeping
5.
Up with your Wi-Fis.
Wi-Fi.
So when I say Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6, I mean international standard. So there's a standard put out there's a standard making group that's extremely influential, and leftists never talk about it because leftists and engineers are two opposing Venn diagrams.
That's not true. There's a lot of trans engineers with thigh-high socks.
They're all software engineers.
They're all software engineers.
Anyway.
They're not hardware engineers.
So they know about Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 is going to 3D scan your whole living room. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it can do. Which mean and it will be able to do that kind of stuff in things like vehicles. If you have a Wi-Fi receiver there, or not receiver, but route, like a Wi-Fi emitter, airplanes, and they'll be able to see what position your body is in. We're also, cameras are going to start doing pupil tracking, and the Wi-Fi 6,
just like the movies.
So and Chrome has put out a thing to detect when a potential employee is not actively using Chrome. So with a combination of all the new technologies, we'll really be able to finally cut down on employees goofing off and not doing their work at the computer, maybe playing a Wordle,
Doing all these Wordles and all of these Wordle knockoffs.
Maybe jerking.
Like Turtle, identifying turds.
With Wi-Fi 6, we'll be able to determine which employees are jerking off in the bathroom and which employees are putting that semen in the women's bathroom.
That was a real problem. That's a problem in every company,
Did you hear about Act the video game maker Activision?
Oh my God. Well, yeah, they're drinking the breast milk, They're stealing breast milk. They're raping ladies. They have the Cosby suite. What's the? Is there anything lately that has come of note?
Yeah, they were
about
jerking
the
off
active-
into the breast milk.
They were jerking off into the breast milk. That's a real
and
problem.
then drinking it.
And then
So
drinking it. They were drinking it,
Yeah,
or
they
they were
were
forcing the
drinking it.
ladies.
They
That's better.
They were like, we're mixing milks. You never heard?
We're doing our milk mixers.
never
That's
heard
what
that?
they were calling it. Yeah.
Never heard?
The milk mixer.
Yeah. Could you milk me?
Could you milk? Yeah, that's in the
classic
Meet
line.
the Parents movie.
Meet from
Robert De Niro is a great
Could you milk me? That's my De Niro.
great comedy guy. Would you milk me, Ben Stiller? And here's my Ben Stiller impression. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know, Robert De Niro. I'm Ben Stiller.
That's good.
Great Ben
We
Stiller
should do. Let's do a Patreon subscription only episode soon, where it's just that.
Oh, I'm Ben Stiller. Oh, God. I landed my ass on a cactus.
Whoa! They're gonna have to pay if they want more of that.
Yeah. So if you want more, oh, I'm Ben Stiller. Oh no, I like licking puppy anuses. If you want more of that, if you want 8 hours of that, it's just gonna be me going like that, just commenting, just reading the entire Great Gatsby like Andy Kaufman, but as Ben Stiller. Just reading The Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Oh, I'm Ben Stiller. My dad was screen legend Jerry Stiller. He was on Seinfeld.
You think Ukraine is having a Mulan moment right now?
They're having a Mulan moment?
Yeah, like they're lighting
a young Ukrainian woman is binding her breasts,
right,
going into the army with men and wants to
They're
kill.
lighting the bonfires to signal the Russians are invading because Ukrainians still only have bonfire technology.
Yeah. Just a bunch of Russian soldiers all listening to like K-pop. They're on the border, smoking cigs and doing push-ups.
Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons?
Send daughters when I asked for sons.
You are the saddest bunch I ever met. But
I've heard a great deal about you, Fayanovna.
But you can make
you
that
have posed this man.
Before we are through, mister, I will make man out of you. Yes.
You will make man.
Mister.
I will make man out of you.
Mister, I will make
Mister.
man out of you.
I will make man out of you. You were not man before. You were like clay, but out of clay I shall make man.
Mulan is so binary. It's a very binary-esque movie.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's really about just
Mulan is non-binary.
No,
it's about boy moding. The whole movie is about boy
that's
moding.
all. You know, it's very binary. You can either be a man as swift as the coursing river, or you can be.
They don't describe women.
They don't describe women in the song.
It would defeat the purpose of the song.
Well, that's.
I had this joke in my head.
Classic Donny Osmond for you.
Mulan, I've heard a great deal about you, Fa Mulan. You have bound your breasts. You put a sausage in your pussy to simulate a penis. You were sucking the dicks of all the army men and were saying, "Ooh, I'm so gay. Ooh, I'm a gay man. You know I'm gay because I'm sucking a lot of penises."
I would love a conservative person to be like, Mulan, that's the type of movie they couldn't get away with making today. No, not with the gender binary all fucked up.
No, with the gender binary, they would be making all sorts of pronoun jokes. They would be making all sorts of winking pronoun jokes.
Yeah, the Chinese army in the 11th century, their official policy was like men or women or third option, it doesn't matter, you're all blobs. And and Mulan is a 15-minute movie about that.
There you go. I don't know what we're I don't know. Mulan. We're doing non-binary Mulan. Are we doing? She has to pass as non-binary.
Sarcastic non-binary Mulan in the mind of a.
In the Chinese army, they only allowed non-binary people.
See,
and they all owed them androgyny.
That's what I'm saying. You couldn't make a movie like Mulan today.
You'd have to make them all non-binary.
You'd have to just.
And she would have to pose as a non-binary.
You gotta trans it up. That's what's happening. See, because and we didn't get to it. but Biden's putting weird kink people in charge of the nukes.
We talked about that.
But we
talked
didn't
because
get
I
into
had made
detail.
a prophetic comment.
We didn't get into
did the detail.
The
weird kink guy is gonna do the puppy play all over the. Do you want a man who, when the Chinese are coming with their nuclear Mulans, do you want a man who cannot put his finger on the button because he's got a goddamn puppy claw on it? Because he's got a goddamn makeshift puppy claw he uses he puts the puppy claw on his penis. He sounds with it.
Do you know
and he sounds with it, and he cannot stop them.
Do you know what neo-Marxism is?
No, it's a pointless term. It doesn't
fake.
mean anything.
Number one, it's fake.
It's totally fake.
But
there's no neo-Marxism. It's just Marxism.
Neo-Marxism is what they use to say to explain trans stuff, which is weird to me.
Yeah. Well, why? Yeah. Why would Marxism necessarily be part of trans?
I have no idea. It does
not.
not.
Something that.
I, in fact, think the exact opposite, and that a hardcore Marxist society would be the same, like the same level of oppression would be occurring on trans people in a hardcore Marxist society.
Yeah, I think, I'm not like Mr. Anti-Stalin, but I think one of the bigger L's that Stalin did was his approach towards queer people. Whereas famously, Lenin had decriminalized a lot of the Lenin had decriminalized homosexuality. Stalin recriminalized it.
I got you talking about politics. I got you.
Gotcha. I still talk. I just don't do political cartoons anymore. I talk about politics. I'll talk about politics.
Last time I tried to do it, you backed out, but this time I got you.
Yeah, but I don't know many things.
Tankies
but I'm not
attack. Tankies attack now. What did you just say about my boy Stalin?
We have a follower. We have a listener who likes to shout out to Big Red. He's a Stalin guy.
Stalin, misunderstood genius or
Well, okay. Here's the thing. It's like it's always a historical.
Okay.
It's a historically bad idea to compare Hitler to Stalin.
Well, hold on.
Because you want to compare them in terms of body count.
Sorry for the interrupt. I used to be as late as recently as 6 months ago, one of a believer in the holomodor, right?
In the holomodor?
Holomodor, where they all the Ukrainians starved to death because of economic.
Yeah, well, Russia deliberately starved them to death.
Right. Well, I used to be all pissed about that until I found out about something that the British Empire did in India in the 19th century, the Madras famine, where 9 million Indians died because Great Britain refused to lower the amount of grain they were exporting. And that was a policy, economic, business decision. That was because they just didn't give a shit about the effect that it would have. And I think that's probably somewhat close to what happened with Ukraine. But it was mitigated by the fact that it wasn't really a business decision. They needed the grain they were exporting from Ukraine because they were hungry. They were hungry.
I mean, yeah. Also, like, a huge part of the famine was out of Stalin's control. It was just, you can't really account for weather. And also, a huge part of it was kulaks burning their own crops.
Another difference that you don't have with that, though, is no one is complaining to the British Empire when that occurred pretty recently.
Yeah, I mean, people are complaining. That's just, it's not... The global project of capitalism is not aided by complaining about this Indian famine, where it is aided by complaining about the Holodomor, because right now Ukraine is being pushed as a strategic point where capitalism is, the borders of capitalism or Western-style capitalism are allowed to flourish.
I mean, it's the border between Western-style capitalism and then complete corruption is to what lies to the east of Ukraine.
I like it. I think we should be more like Russia, in fact. I think we should just be honest and just be like out in the open and be like, we just have 7 guys. They're rich, and that's it.
They're not out in the open about their corruption there. They have a whole weird theater, a whole weird political theater that they've set up, as Adam Curtis
Yeah, but everybody knows the Russians are canny. They know, they see through it, and they're like, no, we don't care, it's fine.
What do you think about this war of information that we're in.
War of information? What do you mean war of
So
information?
every day now, the New York Times has a new story of a leak from the CIA, and it's most recently the Russians are going to invade Ukraine on Wednesday.
Yeah.
The Russians are going to put out a false flag attack video was another one.
Well, that who knows with that shit? Because you remember, like, with when Israel was saying that Israel is going to attack here tomorrow, and then a bunch of people retweet that,
Right?
and then the Israel actually attacked somewhere different, and all the Palestinian troops were at the one place because a bunch of Twitter generals were like, all the Palestinians, get over here, Palestinians.
Right. So the New York Times knows that. So now with every time they have a new leak, they're like, but this might be Russian disinformation.
Yeah.
So
Everything might be Russian
the news
disinformation.
has gone nutty lately.
Oh, man. So have you ever read Alison Bechdel? Famous for the Bechdel test. But
the Bechdel
it's
test.
sad she just gets reduced to that because she's a really, really fucking talented author of comics. And her masterpiece generally is considered to be Fun Home, which is an autobiographical comic of her upbringing in Pennsylvania, I think it is. I forget where it is. But yeah. So she talks about having this horrible anxiety disorder as a kid where she starts writing this diary, but because she can't be sure of anything, after every sentence she writes, I think. And soon, she's just writing that after every sentence, so she develops a shorthand for it. She develops this little horn symbol for it. And soon she's, like, writing the horn symbol after every word. And then, like, after entire pages of diary entries, she's just writing a giant symbol across of everything. This thing of, like, well, this happened, but who knows? I cannot be sure of anything. I can't really be sure any of this is happening. And that is what we're stuck in today, this perpetual realm of, like, is this a dream or am I waking? You know, what space am I in? There is no longer any space of the real. Actually, that's one very interesting thing which I saw this week was this interview of Sam Hyde. Do you know Sam Hyde?
Oh, yeah, he's horrible.
Yeah, he's a horrible guy. Sam Hyde, for people that don't know, was part of this sketch comedy troupe called $1 Million Extreme, which came up in about 2014 and got an Adult Swim show before being promptly canceled because it was revealed that Sam Hyde had ties to the alt-right and had donated like $5,000 to the Daily Stormer. And it's not really, he definitely is a right-wing person. But the thing about Sam Hyde is he always carries himself with this constant irony, this constant surreality, this surrealness with every interaction that he manufactures and generates. He sort of, in a way, he reminds me of the Adam Driver character from Annette, where there's this menace, there's this deeply menacing quality to the fact that he's always inhabiting this ironic fantasy.
Yeah, he's menacing. He's definitely menacing.
Yeah. And he's a big dude. But there's also this nothing behind the eyes quality to it as well. Like, a person that really just doesn't care about anything.
Sam Hyde is the guy that 4chan will post the picture of whenever there's a shooting. And so 4chan people will go out into the world, and when there's been a shooting, like maybe minutes, or it generally happens minutes after a shooting has been announced on Twitter, they'll try to put a picture of him up and be like, this is the perpetrator. And
they say he can't keep getting away with this is the catchphrase. And so it's very popular meme humor with right-wing nerds. You know, it occupies the same sphere as Pepe's. Although I guess Pepe's have gone by the wayside and they're all Apu's now.
Most people grow out of that, but a few don't. And they become Republican Party officials in another 20 years. So it's going to suck.
Yeah, they become Nick Fuentes, who looks like this software degraded version of like Burt Reynolds with fetal alcohol syndrome. Nick Fuentes. But yeah, so there's this interview with Sam Hyde done by another internet edgelord who's like way less bad in comparison. I mean, like, I don't even think is that bad, just iDubbbz. You remember iDubbbz?
Never heard of him.
He's this guy. He's a popular YouTube guy, and he's known for being like caustic and saying the N-word and being a freak.
Wow, well, that recently got Joe Rogan yelled at.
Yeah, it'll get you yelled at.
That'll get you. He said it a lot.
That didn't get Louis C.K. No one ever bothered Louis C.K. for saying the N-word.
People are bothering Dave Chappelle for stopping some kind of affordable wish-wash from Mishmash. I don't know,
Yeah, affordable housing.
Why can't Yellow Springs, Ohio, be my personal palace?
Hey, look.
Why aren't all of you my servants? Why don't I own all of this land? In fact, you should be working on my field. That's Dave Chappelle.
Are you saying that Dave Chappelle is starting a plantation in Yellow Springs, Ohio?
No, he's starting a kingdom. They're not slaves, they're serfs. There's a difference.
Okay, there you go.
They have a noble...
There you go.
There's like a noble ordering of society. The serfs are not like slaves.
Exactly. It's virtuous. It's not. And what's more, right. It's not for capital, and right? It's because a kingdom is like a kibbutz.
Also, they're white people, so they get a fancy name for being a slave.
Fine,
a serf. It's like a French word.
I think we would all like about just 5 or 10 years of, that viral image of the black guy whipping the white people in the cotton field with the ghost of Martin Luther King smiling in the corner.
I don't know that image.
You don't know that? It's a very
That's like
funny
a George
image.
That's like something he would do. I like him. I need to spend more time in conservative circles so my contrarianness manifests as leftist again.
There you go. Yeah, because when you're surrounded by a bunch of guys who are talking about supply side economics, you can be like, centralization actually? You're wrong.
Well, you can be contrarian to
wrongo.
Them. You can be, it's very easy as a contrarian to go down the libertarian path, and you don't want to do that because the solutions to libertarian problems are, age ain't nothing but a number. So,
everybody. Speaking of canceled academics and canceled libertarian academic, Noam Chomsky may be associated with Epstein. You hear about this
funny.
stuff?
Sure, this is the old guy who he'll answer anyone's emails. What do you expect?
I like the idea of Chaser Noam Chomsky like just entering a 14-year-old's DMs and talking about how he was so sad when Sophie died.
Oh, I mean, listen, if you tried to explain to Noam Chomsky what's going on with him and Jeffrey Epstein and the rumors, he would get so mad at you. He would be like, I don't fucking care. And then he would go
like to see him. I've seen him mad, but I've never seen him yell.
Well,
I'd like to see him yell.
He should yell, but the same shit he's been saying is not getting anyone to do anything. He's saying it in as most drastic a way as possible, which is like, we have to violently get rid of all the Republicans immediately, We just got to violently get rid of all the Republicans.
Just violently get rid of all. That's the classic. And a lot of the Democrats.
When we live in a world of just Democrats...
World of Democrats.
We're going to find those Democrats who are secretly Republican and eliminate them too. Yeah.
The cinemas.
And then we'll just have Pete. It's just me, like in that comic you made.
Like in that comic I made. It all comes down to Pete Buttigieg. He is the survivor. He is the lone cipher that shall carry humanity's silent song throughout the millenniums.
The only good Democrat.
The only good Democrat, Pete Buttigieg, is a Pete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're saying all of the Democrats should be Petes? We're going to create a Pete Buttigieg virus and inject it into AOC so she can be more like Pete?
See, we're just coming up with the awesome movies ideas here. Yeah. A movie where you have a chemical compound that you can inject into someone and they turn into Pete Buttigieg, like in a fucked up way, like The Fly.
Yeah. Yeah, like their jaws. You pull their jaw off, and underneath is a Pete Buttigieg face, and he just says stuff like, "When I was 14, I wanted to kill myself for being gay."
No, he says weird. He's like, didn't he realize he was gay when he was 30? I thought he was like, I realized I'm gay last year when I was.
Did you see the documentary?
No.
I watched a documentary with Evan McDonald over at Kino Lefter. We did an episode about it. It's worth watch. It's really boring, so it's not really worth watching, but it gives you some insight into this truly nothing of a person, in that the insight you get is that he's nothing. He is Patrick Bateman. He's this truly blank entity. I mean, no, you shouldn't accuse anyone of being gay for pay, but Pete Buttigieg does come across as a guy who's like asexual and made like a conscious decision to be gay in order to like say, well, that's playing now. We can do, like, Obama was just black enough for that to like play with mainstream society. I'll be just gay enough.
Well, we're nearing the end of the episode, but maybe we can end on a question of it's this question here. You've stated it's immoral to use your sexuality to
that's not immoral.
To increase your pay grade. So maybe pretending to be straight is that okay? If you want,
it's not okay to pretend to be straight. All gay people should be out now.
Okay. But what if you would make more money?
Doesn't matter if your father's going to kill you, it doesn't matter. You're immoral for being in the closet.
No, you're joking. But
I'm in a better season, man. I'm born of cheese. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way.
Oh shit! That's probably what that song is about, isn't it?
It's about coming out of the closet, even if your dad will kill you. Yeah.
And Lady Gaga is very not gay though, right? Or is she?
She's probably
gayish.
Fucked a lady.
Gayish.
I'm sure she's fucked a lady. Who cares?
Mm.
I mean, you're even if you're a straight cis woman, if enough gay people like you, you get a pass. You're gay. You're fine.
So she's got the F word pass.
Yeah, Lady Gaga can say fag. Yeah,
that's funny.
That's her new song. Is faggots, faggots, faggots around the world celebrate the faggot dance.
Yeah, like Britney Spears' song "F.A.G. to Me." Do you know that? Do you get that?
No.
Okay, well she did.
No.
If you seek Amy.
If you seek Amy.
If you seek Amy, which was F-U-C-K me.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, but F-A-G me.
No, it's F-A-G to me. You're just an F-A-G to me. That's Lady Gaga's
You're just an F-A-G to me.
But it has to be effigy. Effigy. So it would be effigy to me.
There you go.
Because it's if you seek Amy, so it's effigy to me.
And you're like burning an effigy of your old boyfriend, but also calling him a fag.
Cool.
I like that. We need like a Boston Britney Spears. Hey, you fag! I'm writing a song about you. Writing a song about how you got a little dick and you can't eat puss for shit.
Boston Spears.
Boston Spears.
Is Boston a girl's name
classic.
now, or is Boston like a?
It's always been a
gender neutral name. Well, did you see? I saw that. Who's the
like
woman
Brooklyn.
from The Good Place? The blonde lady.
Oh, Kristen Bell.
And she's married to Dax Shepard.
Married to Dax Shepard.
Well, they're kind of
weird looking
they were
guy,
in the news.
Smelly looking guy. Dax.
They were in the news about their smells.
Yeah.
Apparently, they all sleep in the same bedroom. They have 2 kids. And apparently there was a very bad smell emanating from the mattress, and it made the tabloids. Anyway, they have their 2 kids that have very strange names. One isn't so strange. One kid is named Lincoln. That's pretty normal.
Yeah, that's fine.
The second kid's name is Delta.
That's like, well, I know Delta Burke.
Who's
like
that?
Delta Burke from Dynasty, the 80s series Dynasty. She's a classic. She was also known for being heavy but still glamorous.
Oh no. You're only so you got a kid named Delta today has got airline, COVID variant, and
Delta Burke.
and a curvaceous
Yeah, a curvaceous
woman.
star of 80s television.
She was Suzanne Sugarbaker in the CBS sitcom Designing Women.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Dynasty, it was Designing Women. Of course.
What's that? Did you watch that? I don't know.
No, but there are many references to it on 30 Rock.
Really?
Well, no, there's just one. There's one episode where there's a Designing Women marathon, and everyone is talking about a Designing Women.
All I have to do to extract the most amazing details from you is just say "really" with a question mark at the end, and I get it's like you're like a human Wikipedia page. I click on you by saying "really,"
stupid shit.
And it's like you know everything about Delta Burke. Today you knew everything about Delta Burke. Who's the other one?
Renee Zellweger is Sammy.
Zellweger. And then Bob Ross.
Yeah, but these are easy Reddit facts about. So what are amazing facts about celebrities? Ben Affleck's. I love that when there was that DNA show and all of Ben Affleck's families were slave owners. He tried to get it.
I can't keep anything in my brain, and I've realized the reason is because my brain has so much trouble with just muscle memory things. That most of it is just muscle memory. Like how to remember to breathe at night when you're asleep. It's a big problem for me. You know? So brain can't remember facts. It's got to remember things like lungs, lung operation, you know?
Yeah, your autonomic brain function is it's taking up too much space.
I don't have enough
limit
RAM,
that shit.
I think as usual my parents skimped, got the low model, put 4 gigs of RAM up there.
I like the idea of you're just trepanning, you slice open a piece of your head and you just stick a piece of RAM in your brain and it makes a squishing sound like macaroni in a pot. Like
when you were a baby, we installed extra RAM in your noggin.
Your brain is growing around the RAM. You just have this horrible square-shaped
I shall name you
tumor.
Tetsuo, Iron Man.
There you go. And then you become the Iron Man.
I love that movie. That was one of my
such a good movie.
Favorite movies in 9th grade because I was really edgy. It was I would like, who wants to come over to my house and watch Eraserhead and Tetsuo? And I had
black and white.
I had one guy. Shout out to Whitcomb.
Whit. Hell yeah, Whitcomb.
Whitcomb is a very good illustrator. He was and cartoonist. Lived in North Carolina then. Shout out to him.
Wick.
Peace be with you. Peace be upon you, my brother. Assalamu alaikum. You know, he's not Muslim.
He is Muslim.
He's not Muslim.
He's Muslim.
He is not. Maybe he is now.
He's your Muslim friend.
Maybe
he
he's
could
now.
be. You don't know.
Maybe he went to prison.
He saw the light. That's where most people
become Muslim. That's the only place in America you can become Muslim.